celebrity chef Salt Bae.
Celebrity chef Salt Bae.
The most famous chef, Salt Bae, is
with the one and only Salt Bae.
Salt Bae, we are not friends. We don't get along. We have problems.
Salt Bae, aka the biggest scam.
Salt Bae, we said that was one of the best steaks that we've ever had. I'm not kidding.
Salt Bae, love what you do, mate.
In the culinary world, there emerged a character like no other, Nusret Göçe, better known as Salt Bae. His meteoric rise to fame was unlike anything the food industry had seen before, but with his fame came controversy, and his empire began to crumble. Salt Bae burst onto the scene in January 2017 with a simple yet mesmerizing move, sprinkling salt on a perfectly cooked steak with an almost theatrical flourish. This signature move, simple yet captivating, was captured on camera and shared across social media platforms, setting off a global sensation. In the blink of an eye, Salt Bae transformed from a relatively unknown chef into an internet sensation. His unique style and the flair with which he added that final pinch of salt to his dishes struck a chord with food enthusiasts and meme lovers alike. His charming and flamboyant demeanor, often accompanied by dark sunglasses and slick-back hair, became instantly recognizable. Salt Bae's meteoric rise to fame represented a phenomenon that the food industry had never witnessed before. His restaurants, known for their theatrical dining experiences and premium cuts of meat, were soon sought-after destinations for foodies and curious diners. The combination of delectable cuisine and a dash of showmanship made Salt Bae a household name in the culinary world. But, as the saying goes, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. It all commenced with a single tap on the screen, the moment Salt Bae decided to post a tribute to Fidel Castro, the polarizing Cuban leader, on his Instagram. Little did he know that this digital gesture would send shockwaves through the heart of Miami, a city with a profound history where many had fled Cuba to escape Castro's rule. Miami, a city that pulses with the rhythms of salsa, had long been a refuge for Cuban Americans, harboring the stories of those who had left their homeland in search of a better life. For this vibrant community, Castro was a symbol of their past struggles, a divisive figure who had shaped their lives in significant ways. As word of Salt Bae's Instagram post spread like wildfire through the city's tightly knit Cuban-American population, outrage erupted. The streets around his Miami restaurant became a battleground of passionate demonstrations. Protesters gathered, their voices raised in anger, their placards bearing messages of hurt and frustration, and they decried Salt Bae's apparent insensitivity. Amid the cacophony of the protests, one voice stood out, a succinct yet powerful reflection of the prevailing sentiment. "Some people just don't think before they open a restaurant in Miami," lamented one protester. This statement crystallized the collective emotion of a community that felt wounded by a thoughtless act of homage. In the midst of the mounting uproar, Salt Bae had no choice but to retract his Instagram post. The deed was done, the spark had ignited, and the damage had been inflicted. The storm that his post had triggered would not be so easily quelled. What had once been a rapid ascent to fame now turned into an avalanche of controversy and public outrage. The aftermath of this single Instagram post set the stage for a tumultuous journey ahead, one filled with challenges, personal reflection, and the urgent need to rebuild trust. Salt Bae, once celebrated for his culinary theatrics, was about to learn that fame came with a price, and that a single thoughtless act could turn a community against you, leaving an indelible mark on your reputation. People questioned how one could post such a tribute and then open a restaurant in a city where Castro's legacy was deeply felt. In September 2018, he found himself under scrutiny for hosting a lavish meal for the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro. This, despite the fact that Venezuela was grappling with food shortages and a worsening economic crisis. As images of the opulent feast circulated on social media, anger flared. Venezuelans who were suffering from extreme malnutrition and food scarcity couldn't believe what they were seeing. "It angers me seeing my president feasting on a meal while me and my family were starving." Protests erupt outside Salt Bae's Miami restaurant once again, with signs accusing him of insensitivity. "Did you know, Salt Bae, that in the time you took to wine and dine dictator Maduro with your bloody meat, at least one Venezuelan child died of extreme malnutrition?" read one sign. The controversy was far from over. One of the most shocking incidents happened at Salt Bae's restaurant in Istanbul. A fire show meant to entertain the diners went horribly wrong, causing one of the customers to suffer severe burns. The aftermath of this incident was chaotic, with tourists feeling they weren't compensated fairly, and evidence of what had happened was lost. Salt Bae faced legal problems when some of his employees accused him of taking a portion of their tips. When four of them confronted him about this, they were fired, which led to a lawsuit claiming wrongful termination. These incidents shed light on the darker side of Salt Bae's fame. While he initially became famous for his extravagant style, these controversies revealed a different, less favorable side of his business practices. Many started to question his behavior and whether he truly cared about his employees and customers. Salt Bae's quick rise to fame was impressive, but these incidents served as a reminder that even famous people are subject to scrutiny. It's a lesson for Salt Bae and for anyone in the public eye, highlighting the importance of ethical conduct and safety standards. These controversies had a lasting impact, and Salt Bae had to work hard to regain public trust and rebuild his reputation. Within the inner sanctum of Salt Bae's culinary empire, whispers of discontent began to circulate among his former employees. These murmurs painted a disconcerting picture of a work environment that some likened to a battlefield, drawing unsettling parallels to the ruthless dynamics of the Hunger Games. Ex-employees shed light on the alleged hostilities that permeated the workplace. They spoke of a dictatorial atmosphere where Salt Bae's authority was ruled with a heavy hand. The comparisons to the Hunger Games, a harrowing story of survival and power struggles, reflected the intensity of their experiences. One of the recurring complaints was that Salt Bae seemed to operate with a disregard for local laws and regulations. This blatant disregard for legal boundaries added another layer of tension to the work environment, as employees found themselves navigating not only the culinary demands, but also the precarious legal landscape. Salt Bae, the charismatic and extravagant chef who had garnered global fame, was now under scrutiny for his management style, raising questions about his commitment to the well-being and rights of his employees. The allegations made by those who had worked closely with him only added to the complex tapestry of his public image. Salt Bae's extravagant lifestyle and boastful posts on Instagram drew criticism. He flaunted lavish bills and indulgent meals, raising questions about the quality of his restaurants. His iconic salt-sprinkling gestures had the world captivated, and his restaurants were initially packed with curious diners eager to experience the hype. However, as time went on, the picture painted by these initial bursts of popularity began to fade, replaced with negative reviews and controversy. Diners who had once flocked to his establishments began to voice their dissatisfaction with the quality of the food. It seemed that the spectacle of Salt Bae's performance had overshadowed the culinary experience itself, leaving many feeling that the exorbitant prices they paid were not justified by the meals they received. Some diners even went so far as to express that they felt misled by their dining experience, expecting something exceptional, but ultimately leaving disappointed. As the negative reviews piled up, Salt Bae's businesses took a hit. His New York burger restaurant, once hailed as the jewel in his crown, was forced to close its doors due to dwindling customer interest. Bookings at his other locations saw a significant drop, leaving many to wonder if the initial enthusiasm for his restaurant had fizzled out. In a recent interview, Salt Bae attempted to explain his actions and the controversies that had surrounded him. He addressed the allegations of mishandling employee tips and tried to clarify the unfortunate incident that occurred at his Istanbul restaurant. However, the damage had already been done. The public's perception of Salt Bae had been significantly tarnished, and it remained to be seen whether his explanations could repair the rift between him and his audience. The challenges that Salt Bae's empire faced were not limited to customer dissatisfaction and controversies. The overall brand image had taken a hit, and business prospects seemed less rosy than they once were. This once thriving celebrity chef was now grappling with a variety of issues on multiple fronts. Despite the setbacks and controversies, Salt Bae's story is far from over. The man behind the iconic salt-sprinkling gesture remains a topic of fascination for many. As the culinary world continues to evolve, one can't help but wonder what the future holds for this enigmatic figure. Will he be able to reinvent himself and regain the trust of both customers and employees? Or will he remain a cautionary tale of the perils of rapid fame and questionable business practices? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: subscribe, because the story of the chef is not over yet.